Joseph Murphy dedicated decades to teaching that monetary prosperity is not an accident, but determined by the dominant vibrational frequency that a person establishes in their mental field. When Murphy investigated families that faced chronic financial difficulties, he noticed an intriguing yet unsettling pattern. These families held, without perceiving it, a vibrational field of insufficiency that resurfaced through successive generations, like a scratched record playing continuously the same music of lack. Murphy termed this process vibrational legacy. He discovered that any family possesses a vibrational pattern linked to financial resources, a resonance that transmits itself through behaviors, silent beliefs and reactions of the heart regarding financial difficulties. This transmitted frequency acts like invisible programming, determining not simply what total someone can save, but also their primordial connection with wealth. Murphy assimilated that several of the monetary impediments that he observed did not stem from ineptitude or negative chance, but simply in the inherited vibration that someone received from the beginning of life. This revelation fundamentally altered the approach by which Murphy treated financial change. Instead of teaching only ways to obtain income or investment strategies, Murphy turned to something essential, transforming the vibrational frequency about money that any person absorbed from their ancestors. Murphy told extraordinary cases of individuals who were capable of breaking this ancestral pattern using specific procedures of cognitive reworking. One of these cases involved a professional named Roberto, whose family heritage faced a repetitive cycle of financial ruin that continued for generations. His progenitor had lost all his wealth in a disastrous speculation. His direct ancestor had endured unsuccessful initiatives, and Roberto, albeit working obsessively, saw himself repeating the exact same self-destructive cycle. On every occasion that he succeeded to amass some significant amount of wealth, a situation occurred mysteriously and the person experienced the loss of everything. It appeared that there was an unknown force blocking his deliberate efforts. Murphy taught Roberto personally for consecutive periods, revealing to him a fundamental principle that would be the foundation in all his philosophy. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between wealth you earned and capital your family believes is appropriate. If in your inner self exists the vibration that wealth is threatening, that evolving economically is dangerous, that financial security is illusory or fictitious, then your subconscious mind will function incessantly to preserve you in this resonance, for it represents the genuine reality. The subconscious mind does not inquire. It only executes the instructions that were implanted in your psyche through family history. Roberto at last comprehended that he was not indolent or incompetent. He was formatted, and programmings can be reconfigured. Murphy revealed that when you alter the dominant vibration in your mind, you modify the instruction that you send to your hidden psyche. It is similar to restoring a machine that was working with aged software, which is problematic. If the code stays established to welcome only a specific amount of wealth, then that is exactly what you will conquer, apart from how much energy you dedicate. Murphy evidenced this concept via deep visualization techniques that he had developed for many years. He guided his clients to devote about 5 to 10 minutes daily in the morning, if possible immediately upon waking, when the mind is still in a permeable alpha state, visualizing not solely the entry of patrimony in their living, but fundamentally the internal sensation of security, genuine confidence and dignity that is associated with this arrival. Murphy stated unequivocally that this feeling signified the real key. It was not the capital in itself that was relevant for the change. It represented the wave that the person managed in relation to money. With Roberto, Murphy set in motion a process that he identified as ancestral vibrational transmutation, a method that he had perfected through various proven cases. Roberto should necessarily, for 8 weeks, expend 15 minutes every night at bedtime in a deep meditative state. In this state, Roberto should become aware of, with full consciousness, the total economic journey of his group of origin. He should visualize his grandfather facing the financial catastrophe, his father facing unsuccessful initiatives, and all those ancestors who preceded him bearing similar patterns. Then mentally, Roberto should say with real feeling, "I recognize what you lived. I deeply respect the sacrifice you made. I value the path you walked and the adversities you experienced. However, now in this sacred moment, I let go of this frequency of lack from my core. I establish a new vibration for my ancestors. From this moment on my path, abundant energy, abundance and financial confidence are the dominant patterns that determines my choices and my life. Murphy observed meticulously that when Roberto did this with genuine sincerity, with true emotional feeling that involved his whole being, something extraordinary began to happen in the external world. Roberto's financial situations began to reorganize subtly, but surely. An opportunity that Roberto would have previously rejected out of fear or mistrust came to be seen under a new illuminated perspective. An old client returned with a substantial project. An unexpected scholarship for his daughter appeared at the exact moment when her education was a financial concern. None of this was coincidence, Murphy explained with conviction. It was simply the natural and inevitable consequence of an altered vibration. When you change your internal vibration, the entire universe needs to reorganize itself to correspond to this new frequency you have established. People, opportunities, resources, everything begins to align differently in your life. Murphy developed a principle that he designated Law of Vibrational Correspondence, a principle that he had verified in hundreds of cases. This law asserts that the exterior environment always corresponds perfectly to the dominant inner world. If in your psyche prevails with intense fear of lack of resources, then the external circumstances will present constantly moments that amplify this terror and confirm your limiting thought. If in your psyche prevails authentic confidence in your inherent prosperity, then the external circumstances will bring perspectives that nourish and increase this certainty. The most innovative point of this concept is that it acts apart from your current state or your past history. A person completely indebted who changes their vibrational pattern to abundance will commence, in a matter of weeks, to observe subtle alterations that are visible. These changes are constantly discreet in the initial phases, but are signalers of a genuine transmutation. An unexpected expense is prevented, since you determine to not make an automatic purchase. An opening presents itself because you were in better mental state to interact with a significant person. Your total organism begins to vibrate in a diverse vibration. Murphy had a special interest in the family aspect of this transformation because he had observed an extraordinary phenomenon repeatedly. When a person changes their vibration and manages to maintain this change for a sufficient period, the entire family dynamic begins to reorganize deeply. Children who were struggling financially begin to prosper unexpectedly. Parents who faced chronic difficulties find new solutions and paths. It is as if this person, by raising their own vibration, pulled the entire lineage to a new vibrational level. Murphy explained this as a principle of family resonance. When a musical instrument begins to vibrate at a specific frequency, all other nearby instruments naturally begin to vibrate at the same frequency, even without physical contact. Likewise, when you establish a vibration of prosperity within you, all those energetically linked to you naturally begin to enter into resonance with this elevated frequency you created. To create this vibrational change that was permanent and genuine, Murphy instituted a process organized in 3 steps that he believed completely indispensable for victory. The first step is the process Murphy referred to conscious ancestral recognition, and he stated that it was impractical to proceed without completing truly this first step. In this pass, you need to expend time honestly welcoming the total economic journey of your ancestors. This does not signify holding responsible your ancestors or rejecting them with negative feeling. It means uniquely viewing with total transparency what they faced, the deep wounds that they lived through, the structures that they formed as a survival mechanism in challenging periods. Murphy noted that many individuals sought to disregard this uncomfortable narrative, tried to pretend it did not exist, and this blocked irreversibly the true transformation. It remains truly impossible to liberate oneself from what you deny consciously to view. Murphy instructed his apprentices to initiate this simple practice, which is transformative. At night, by preference when preparing to sleep when the mind finds itself more sensitive, install yourself in complete silence. Perform breaths in a deep way multiple times. And internally meditate deeply on your family. Visualize the forms of your predecessors. Accept the challenges that they endured. Pronounce internally with authenticity a declaration like, "I accept that you, my grandfather, passed deep losses that created intense dread in your being. I accept that you, my female ancestor, developed survival patterns that were shared through generations between generations." Murphy explained that this recognition is deeply healing on a spiritual and psychological level. By recognizing the story, you take this story out of the unconscious, where it operates silently controlling your actions, and bring it to the full light of consciousness. In this clear light, it loses the power to control you automatically. It ceases to be something that controls you like a puppet and becomes something you see with absolute clarity and can choose to transform. Murphy used to say with emphasis that nothing that remains unconscious can be truly transformed. Everything that is brought to consciousness can be worked on, can be dissolved, can be rewritten in a completely different way. This first stage should be practiced for at least 2 weeks every day, with genuine emotion and complete attention. The second stage of Murphy's method is what he called declared vibrational disconnection, and he was absolutely clear about its critical importance. In this stage, after consciously recognizing the ancestral story, you must declare with authority that this vibration of limitation will no longer be the dominant force of your life. Murphy was not in favor of a vague or intellectual approach in this stage. He demanded genuine emotion, clear intention, and deep commitment, not just to the words, but to real transformation. After recognition, still in your moment of silence at night, Murphy instructed his clients to place their hand over their heart and say with unshakable emotional firmness, "I completely release the vibration of scarcity that was inherited through generations. I unlink my conscious mind from every pattern of financial limitation that belonged to my ancestors. I allow my soul to be the genuine and true origin of my prosperity and abundance." From this moment, the dominant vibration I establish and maintain is that of conscious abundance, genuine confidence, and unlimited flow. Murphy instructed that this declaration acts because it establishes a new authority in your interior. You do not find yourself refusing your ancestors or your narrative. You stay just realizing your legitimate right as a conscious being who is free to select a different vibration. Murphy had observed numerous cases evidenced where this declaration, when done with sincere and genuine emotion, generated an energetic cut so powerful and genuine that observable transformations began in a matter of days. He possessed compiled cases where beings reported extraordinarily clear dreams and exceptional dreams immediately after the affirmation. Phoneric experiences where their forebears appeared to confirm this change with silent approval and vibrational acquiescence. Even though Murphy was a systematic investigator who was precise in his general methodology, he admitted that there were occurrences that went beyond merely material understanding and analytical logic. The third stage is the one Murphy considered absolutely the heart and soul of the entire vibrational transformation. He called it continuous vibrational re-establishment, and it was in this stage that the real work of rewriting your financial reality happened. In this stage, you not only dissolve the old problematic vibration, but actively establish a new vibration that becomes your dominant pattern. Murphy was extremely specific and precise about how to do this to achieve real results. After the declaration of disconnection, still in their deep and receptive meditative state, Murphy instructed his clients to visualize a field of golden, luminous, and living energy completely enveloping their heart, radiating to their entire body. This field is not vague or abstract. It is real, intensely felt in the body, palpable like a transforming physical presence. Murphy frequently asked his clients to describe in precise detail how this golden field felt in their physical body. Some described gentle and comforting heat. Others described deep and enveloping safety. Still others described an extraordinary sensation of expansion and freedom. While he kept this sharp image and experienced, Murphy directed with authority, "Say on the mental plane with genuine conviction, my dominant vibration now becomes conscious abundance. my physical being pulses totally with financial security. My hidden psyche establishes itself completely renewed, capacitated to receive generously, to deserve fully, and to sustain indefinitely fullness. My field is aligned impeccably with opportunity, inexhaustible current, and infinite elevation. The want that was transmitted extinguished itself entirely forever. The wealth that represents my innate spiritual right establishes itself now as the definitive condition of my life. Murphy emphasized absolutely that these affirmations must be uttered not superficially out of habit or lightly, but with real intensity of feeling, with truth that springs from the chest as if you existed, affirming the most essential teaching and basic of your total being. Murphy observed that this third stage is exactly where most people faced significant difficulties in the process. They managed to do the first two stages with some success, but in the third stage, the rational mind began to doubt and question. How can I say I am prosperous if I have significant debts? How can I say my vibration is abundance if my bank account tells another story of limitation? How can I declare what only my current reality denies? Murphy had a clear and transformative answer for this. He explained that the rational mind does not govern true reality. Vibration governs reality. The rational mind is merely a tool that describes retroactively what vibration has already created. If you want to change what the rational mind describes, you must first change the vibration at the root. Murphy used a potent and transformative metaphor. He said that vibration is like the root of a tree, and visible financial results are like the branches, leaves, and flowers. If you only look at the visible branches and try to change the tree by pruning the branches, you will never achieve real or lasting change. But if you change the fundamental root, the whole tree changes inevitably. Murphy suggested that this last stage be executed each day, without exception, for a minimum period of 40 days in sequence. He had determined the period of 40 days because he had identified in countless cases that it was justly the required interval for a new vibrational pattern to install itself definitively as the prevailing pattern in the deep nucleus of the unconscious. The initial period of 14 days are focused on rooting and implantation of the transformed energy. The new vibrational pattern still demonstrates itself as fragile and transitory. It still disputes intensely with the old patterns that fight to continue. During days 15 until 28, something deeply modifies and frees itself. The new resonance begins little by little to reach real strength, to perceive more organic and authentic, truer to your deep being. Between days 29 and 40, the new frequency at last consolidates itself as the prevailing pattern that governs your behaviors. Ended 40 days of consistent practice and heartfelt practice, Murphy verified that his patients reported an emotional evolution so substantial that it was observable even to outside spectators. The fear that stagnates in relation to money faded substantially until disappearing. The shame of prospering and welcoming dissolved itself integrally. A peace which was restful, transforming and unshakable in the coming prosperity, initiated to sprout organically from your interior. Murphy had a particular and very effective method to help his clients maintain absolute consistency during these critical 40 days. He recommended they keep a simple and honest journal. Each night, after completing the full ritual of the 3 stages, they should briefly note what they felt and observed, not for heavy intellectual analysis, but simply to deepen the experience and root it. Murphy observed that when people recorded their experience in words, the practice became more concrete, more real, more irrefutable. He also recommended that during these 40 days of transformation, people be particularly attentive to the small signs of change that appeared. A small but significant opportunity that arose unexpectedly. An unexpected expense that was providentially avoided. A casual conversation with someone that led to an interesting and unexpected possibility. Murphy taught that vibrational change does not typically begin with spectacular and dramatic results. It begins, always, with small synchronicities, indicating that vibration is genuinely changing at the deepest level. Murphy underlined a critical element that countless disregarded entirely in their execution. Throughout these 40 days of disciplined execution, the tangible behaviors similarly keep critical significance. The frequency establishes the adequate soil, Nevertheless, you still need to develop the courage to take action. If an opening emerges on your course, you have to possess the courage to explore it genuinely. If an inspiration sprouts regarding how to increase your income or to expand your revenue flows, you necessitate to be willing to carry it out with decision. Murphy called this aligned action, and it was fundamentally vital. It is the attitude that emerges fluidly once your vibration has changed to fullness. This action reveals itself substantially dissimilar from the desperate conduct grounded in fear. It is conduct that is resolute, sharp, spontaneous, and precise. Murphy identified that once his clients kept the correct vibration and behaved regularly in alignment with this vibration, the paths opened in multiple ways that prior presented themselves absolutely impossible or close to miracle. The journey that Murphy made available was fundamentally a path of genuine liberation, and genuine. It was not dodging from real challenges. It constituted meeting the factual truth that you remained molded by transmitted ancestral resonance and resolving with full consciousness and with conviction to transform this frequency fully. It was admitting that you have extraordinary strength, not simply to alter your own journey, but to transcend the entire trajectory and coming destiny of all your family heritage. This understanding represents true power in its deepest sense. Not that capacity simply to win or to subjugate antagonists, yet the real power to transmute, to modify vibrational pattern, to transcend old limitations. This principle, Murphy taught with absolute certainty, is the authentic liberation which is financial and sacred that every soul pursues.